Now let's go over the most important stimulus check information first, everybody. Government shutdown could occur very soon. That's if Democrats and Republicans do not agree to the new spending bill this week. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer asked for unanimous consent from the chamber to vote on a bill that would suspend the debt ceiling beyond November 2022, which was blocked by Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
The president is still working at this hour in the Oval Office after clearing his schedule for 11th hour talks during what White House officials describe as a precarious moment. Scrambling still happening at the staff level, and a shared view among officials that they don't know how this chess game will end. There are two schools of thought. One is that Senator Manchin's demands are old news and that July memo doesn't reflect his current thinking.
Ensure domestic tranquility, funding interior, keeping the commerce and the economy of America running smoothly, providing for the common defense, paying our troops and diplomats, and keeping our homeland safe, promoting the general welfare, educating our children, keeping workers paid, fighting the climate crisis, protecting the environment, providing relief for families suffering from natural disasters, and securing the blessings of liberty, including to help resettle Afghan refugees. And thank you for the important language you crafted in a bipartisan way in this legislation. What is important about it right now is that it meets the needs of people who are affected by Hurricane Ida across our country. And that's why it's hard to believe from time to time where our colleagues cannot support something that helps the immediate needs of their constituents at home. When disaster strikes, it's clear in our country that we are there for them. There's a social compact. Disaster strikes, we're there. And this, in record time, has come out since Hurricane Ida, and so many people affected, both in elective office and people affected by elective office who have to deliver the services, have said this is the fastest we've ever received relief. So thank you both for that. So thank you, Madam Chair and Ranking Member, for your tremendous leadership in honoring the vision of our founders, meeting needs of the American people, honor our commitment to the Afghan evacuees who've come here in so many other ways, and of course, addressing the disaster assistance, Ida and other disaster assistance that is needed. Again, it provides secure government funding through December 3rd, providing an appropriate amount of time for Democrats and Republicans, House and Senate, to address appropriations priorities in the regular order process.
That there are some that don't want to pass both bills. And I think that what we've seen from the influence of corporate lobbyists in Washington, that is absolutely part of the conversation. And that's why we want to secure a path to passage on both of these bills.
Now, if that weren't clear enough, the head of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Representative Pramila Jayapal, tweeted this: progressives remain ready and willing to vote for the infrastructure bill after the popular Build Back Better Act is passed. We can't leave childcare, paid leave, health care, housing, education, and climate action behind. But that bigger social spending package is nowhere near ready, Shep, and that leaves Democrats...
Currently, the Senate would need 60 votes to increase or suspend the debt ceiling, and Republicans are not willing to give a single vote. Without a vote to increase that ceiling, the U.S. is at risk of defaulting and the Treasury is running out of money. In a statement, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned Congress that it is likely the Treasury will exhaust its extraordinary measures if Congress hasn't acted to raise or suspend the debt limit by October 18th. She continued by saying that at that point, the Treasury will be left with very limited resources. Limited resources could mean delays in critical welfare payments, paychecks for federal employees, and much more. Republicans are interested in the Democrats using a process known as budget reconciliation, which only requires a simple majority to pass the suspension. There are a limited number of times the parliamentary tool can be used, and Democrats are in the process of drafting a $3.5 trillion reconciliation package. The Senate Majority Whip, Mr. Durbin, also spoke about the temporal limitations of using the budget reconciliation process to increase debt ceiling, saying it could take weeks to prepare a new bill that include the measure given the procedural steps that would need to be taken. Democrats opted to use the budget reconciliation after Republicans showed no interest in many popular items, like the extension of the child tax credit payments. Now in October, everybody, the Social Security Administration is going to be announcing the 2022 Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA as it is more commonly known. The COLA, which is tied to the Consumer Price Index, aims to ensure that the purchasing power of those on Social Security is not impacted by the year-to-year price increase caused by inflation. This year, the increase is expected to be historic, with prices tending upwards across many goods, while rumors have circulated that COLA could be $200. The increases are calculated as percent, not a sum of money. The Senior Citizens League could be as high as 6.1%, while others put it closer to 5.8%. Regardless, even if the SSA announces a 6.1% COLA increase, the majority of recipients would not see a $200 increase. For retirees, the average benefit seen was $1,534, while beneficiaries with disability saw an average of $1,280 in June 2021. In dollars, a 6.1% increase would correspond to a bump in payments, worth around $93 to $78 total. Now, the CPIW is the index used by the SSA to calculate the COLA increase each year. From 2019 to 2020, the CPIW increased from 250 to 253, and this increase corresponded with a 1.3% COLA increase. Folks, it's good to see that our Social Security benefits will be increased, and that many of our American seniors will receive the help that they so desperately need. It is definitely necessary that President Biden helps out the American people as he promised. He should definitely send out more stimulus checks. If you guys agree, then leave your thoughts in the comments below.
The vice president, and she was a senator as recently as this year. Why isn't she on the Hill helping to broker this deal?
Well, the vice president had the CBC over, the CHC last week. She's been making calls herself, just like the president. If it's constructive for her to go to the Hill or for him to go to the Hill to have members down here, they'll do that. We're ready and willing. This is our top priority, all hands on deck. But a lot of what's happening right now is discussions at a staff level, a senior staff level, to get through these intricate details, and that's where the focus is in this moment. Go ahead, Kelly.
Since we haven't seen the president much publicly this week, and you talked about leaving room in his schedule, can you paint more of a picture of what's happening behind the scenes? Are these calls happening from the Oval? Is he inviting guests to the residence? Does he have a whiteboard with his own whip count? Can you give us a picture of what
I like
it looks
that
like
visual. I would say he does not have a whiteboard with a whip count. I can assure you he's more of a paper and pen kind of guy. But look, he's been meeting with staff. He's been getting updates from staff as they've been having engagements with the Hill. You all know who the senior members of his team are who are negotiating, whether that's Steve Ricchetti or Louisa Terrell, Brian Deese, Susan Rice. What he's asked his team to do, including the policy members, which people don't always factor this in, is be available to have conversations with members about questions they have, to help address any parts of it they have suggestions on. So he's getting regular updates. People are in and out of the Oval Office, providing him updates on their individual conversations, and he's picking up the phone and calling people as needed, whether that's the Speaker or Leader Schumer or other members, to have a conversation about the status, to check on where they are, to follow up and maybe a conversation they may have had with his staff. These conversations are happening from the Oval Office.